Most lawyers are reliant on agencies to provide all their data and tracking. I want to give that power back to you in this video today. We are going to talk about the exact tracking software that your law firm needs to make sure that your marketing, your advertising, and your sales is on point and profitable. Cesar, get over here.
All right.
We're going to do a little law firm tracking Jeopardy today, so it's not just a matter of us talking to you. We're going to have a little fun with this. So we've got 4 different types of tracking softwares that your law firm needs to make sure that your campaigns are profitable. We've got marketing, advertising, sales, and reporting, and we're going to give you the exact tracking stack that you should at least know about. At the very least, you might not have to have these in-house. A lot of your agencies should have these, but this should be your core foundation of what you need. Some of these are free, some of these are paid. So let's go through it, Cesar. Let's start with marketing software. This is going to be the biggest one. So What do you think is on this? And you have to start with what is, so we hit it properly.
What is Google Analytics for
Bang.
number one? That's the most used tracking software.
Talking about Google Analytics, why is this important? What do they need to get from this?
Google Analytics is going to be your central hub of where all your data lives. You get things like your traffic, you get things like conversions, how many people are calling you, how many people are filling out forms, what pages. So Google Analytics is a little piece of code that you put on your website, and Google handles the rest. You don't have to really configure anything, although you can get into a little bit more sophisticated tracking, but if all you do is take that little pixel, put it on your website, at the very least, you're going to know how many people are visiting your website.
Yeah, it's kind of like the core repository, if you will, of all things website tracking anyways, because most, if not all, traffic is probably going to end up on your website in some shape or form. So analytics gives you kind of like a universal tracking solution. So what do you got next? What else is in the marketing tracking stack?
I'm going to go with Google Search Console.
Bang.
Yeah. All right. So Google Search Console, very similar to Analytics. It does give you performance data, but it also goes a step further and gives you information of how Google actually sees your site, how it's treating your website, how often it's crawling your website. So it's a little bit more of a technical tool. And the good thing I should mention with these tools and with most Google tools is that they're absolutely free.
Yeah, Search Console we're talking about specifically the scope of tracking, but Search Console is also a very important tool in terms of, again, technical fixes, understanding how Google is seeing your site maps, a lot of technical things in your website. Google Analytics is just straight up tracking. And honestly, I hate Google Analytics, what they've done over the past couple of years. The internet is moving away from a lot of, they don't want us to be able to track as much stuff, and Google Analytics has really reflected that, which is why this stack that we have now has kind of grown a little in some of the tools that we're going to present here, because Google Analytics used to kind of be the one-all, but now it's just kind of like really just for like website conversion tracking and on-site engagement analytics. We don't check it nearly as much as we used to. But what else we got under the marketing stack here?
Let's go with Google Tag Manager.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, Google Tag Manager. It's not a tracking tool. It's an implementation tool. So through Google Tag Manager, you can install the Google Analytics pixel that I mentioned, and you can install some custom tracking as far as events and conversions and things that are happening on your website that require a user to take action.
Yeah, Tag Manager, I put it on here because you're right, but like you're not going to pipe this data into a report and look at it from like KPIs and stuff like that, but it's such a fundamental tool that very few law firms are actually using. Really everything that you see on here is probably going to go through Tag Manager. It's literally, not to get too technical and complex here, but all these tracking systems require, like, just think of like a tag, right? That needs to be put somewhere on your website in order to track the behavior, right? All of those tags, you used to have to put it into the code. You need a developer. Now Tag Manager is the one code you put on your website. And then all these other tags are put into Tag Manager, which then allow them to fire. And you can also do some very advanced tracking in there. And we talk about things like website chats, that should be implemented through Tag Manager. When we talk about things like conversion tracking on the website, when we talk about things like pop-ups and all these different things, it should all be done through Tag Manager. So I put it on here, really just to kind of have that conversation, but it's not necessarily something, well, it's definitely not something you're going to see in a monthly report.
Yeah.
What else you got in a marketing stack here, Cesar?
Let's go with what is Google My Business?
What is? I like it.
Google Business Profile. I
Change
use
the
the
name.
antiquated.
Change the name.
Yeah, I use
If
the
you say that on
antiquated
SEO
name.
Twitter, they will tear.
Yeah, Google Business Profile. Yeah, so this is not only can you see performance data here, like the amount of times people click over from the Google Business Profile over to your website, phone calls, impressions, things of that nature. But this is what you would actually use to update and make changes and engage with your commenters, with your reviewers. You want to respond to reviews. That's a good thing. And if you need to change your phone number, your address, that sort of thing, you do it through Google Business Profile Dashboard.
Yeah, it always is surprising to me how many conversations I have with lawyers, again, on a weekly basis on sales calls, and they know how important their profile is, but they never check the data from it. The Google Business Profile has probably the best front end marketing data that's on a part of a free platform, right? Because it tracks your phone calls, it tracks your impressions in search, it tracks the keywords that you're actually ranking for, which is pretty rare within the local search, which is important from a local SEO optimization, especially when we're talking about some of the lawyers that have multiple practice areas that do like injury or trying to optimize for different things. Your profile is going to show you what Google's showing you up for that you can kind of double down on the optimization with. So Google Business Profile is an incredibly important tracking and also tool that you use to obviously optimize, but the data that you get from it is probably my favorite. It's the easiest one to use too. Search Console, Google Analytics are like freaking doing this for a long time. I don't even like looking at them anymore. Business Profile is very simple and very easy. Is there anything else on marketing that we got here?
Yes. So these are obviously all Google tools. You can get away with just using these. You really don't need anything else. But if you want to take it to the next level and have more granular data, you want to use a call tracking software. We recommend a tool called What Converts, and that's not an answer, that's actually the name, What Converts. So yeah, What Converts is, this is going to give you a lot more data from the traffic, from the calls that are coming in. It actually, you can also configure it to record calls. So if you want to go back and listen to how your intake team is handling these calls, you can do that through something like What Converts. You can then, in your reports, you can filter for phone calls that lasted over a certain amount of time, because with Google Analytics, they're not going to know how long someone was on a call. So if you want to just say, I want to know how many calls lasted over a minute or over 5 minutes, you can do that with What Converts. If you want to know what campaign someone called you from, you can have different phone numbers for, if you have multiple locations, multiple Google Business Profiles, you can have a dedicated number for each of those locations so that you know exactly how many calls you got from each location, and again, how long it lasted and everything. It just gives you a lot more data. And it's highly recommended, but it's not absolutely necessary.
CallRail is also an alternative. We prefer What Converts because it's a little bit more cost effective, but CallRail is also a really good platform, one or the other. I think you got them all. Damn. Okay. So let's talk about advertising now. Now, again, just a note here too, right? 4 out of the 5 on the marketing are Google tools. They're free tools. There are a lot of other tools that will also use like Ahrefs, SEMrush, but this is strictly for, and we'll also use some reporting from those tools as well. Inside of our reports too, we'll also pull through like content created and links built, kind of like more activity-based stuff, and when we're talking about that, but that's all tracked manually via spreadsheets and then piped into a reporting software. This is strictly, it's actually kind of amazing how much of the market Google owns, because I'm trying to think here, I'm like, we're not just doing this for search marketing, we do other stuff too. But I guess some other stuff that you might put in there too would be like social media data. So if you're doing a lot of like organic marketing on Instagram and YouTube, all those platforms also have reporting. I should have probably jammed that on there that you can put in there as well. And even when we don't do that for clients, we don't do much organic social media management. We're doing more like video content coaching and creating because that helps with advertising campaigns. But for the most part, we'll pull that into reporting too. That's all free tools as well: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, whatever you're using as its own dashboard
Yeah.
that you can pull through into these reports that we'll use too. So let me throw that on there as well. I tricked him, but put on social media reporting as well. So let's talk about advertising, Caesar. What do you got here?
Google Ads, or
What
what is Google Ads?
what? Well, okay, but what type of Google ads?
Well, the traditional PPC, no?
Sorry,
Or
oh, okay. I
local
started with
service ads?
LSAs,
Okay.
but AdWords was next
AdWords.
on here.
Well, see, now you're using the antiquated name because it's actually called Google Ads now.
Yeah, I did not know that. I did not know that actually. That's
Yeah.
good.
So yeah, local service ads. That is a dashboard. It's a very simplistic dashboard, and just basically tells you what you need to know: how many calls you got, how much you spent, what was the cost per lead, that sort of thing. Um, Google Ads is the flagship product for Google. It's the PPC platform. That one is a lot more robust. If you don't know what you're doing and you don't know what you're looking at, you can easily get overwhelmed in there. But you get a lot of information. This is like the only platform that Google will actually give you data at a keyword level. You do get it somewhat in Search Console, but because you're paying for traffic with Google Ads, you get a lot more data at a very granular, at a keyword level. And here is where you would actually pull the different levers on campaigns, set negative keywords. Again, you really want to make sure you know what you're doing, or that you hire someone that knows what they're doing, because you can lose a lot of money if you don't.
Yeah. Also, with YouTube ads are in there. If you're doing like banner ads, basically any of the Google ad products except for LSAs. Although I've heard, I think LSAs might get migrated in there in the future. But all the Google ad products are inside Google Ads, Google AdWords. Another one that could also be on here would be like Bing ads if you're running Bing ads. We haven't had as much success with it. I used to pitch them a lot and think that you could be more successful with them, but honestly, Google just owns so much of the market share and there's not that much of a cost difference. People ask me about Bing ads a lot. We stick mainly to Google because there's so much more that you can spend on the Google Ads platform before you start migrating platforms. What else you got under advertising?
Well, something that we are starting to do more of, which is advertising on social media on Meta. So
Got it.
social media ads.
So this would be TikTok. This would be I put Meta in here for those of you that don't know. Meta is the parent company that owns Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. So Facebook and Instagram ads, they're just Meta ads. Really important. I would say that I'm in the injury accident space. I'm starting to pitch that more and more because the cost per result there is much better than Google AdWords. And it's just a little bit less, well, a lot less competitive as well. So social ads are really important. And again, you can pipe all this data directly out of there into it. A really important thing with social ads is that the tracking is much harder to set up out of the box standard configuration than a Google AdWords campaign. Social media ads, you've got to set up different types of conversions. It's going to require a little bit more skill set from a media buying point of view than Google Ads, which are a little bit more straightforward, especially if you're doing click-to-call ads. I think that's it on advertising. All right, so let's talk about sales. What do you got under sales here, Cesar?
So this would be the CRM. The two, or one of the most popular one is Lead Docket. Clio is another one that's very popular. Also important to distinguish that there is the lead tracking aspect of these platforms. So with Clio, you have Clio Grow. With you have Lead Docket is the lead tracking software, but then you can use FileVine to actually manage your cases. As with Clio, you have Clio Manage. So we're not necessarily talking here about the managing the cases part of it. We're just talking here about the pipeline, how you track the leads that come in from all of the different sources. And that is something that requires for you to actually manipulate manually, because it doesn't just happen automatically.
Yeah, this CRM data, again, we usually use Lead Docket if a client doesn't have it set up. Really important, though, on this is that all these other platforms, they don't require ongoing management or maintenance aside from the person who's working on it, right? If you're running ads, the media buyer is going to be obviously buying media there on a regular basis. But like analytics, Search Console, GBP, those don't require any sort of ongoing. Exactly, from a tracking point of view. I can't stress this enough. Your CRM is somebody's full-time job on a daily, hourly basis. Your intake team person, call answering people should have your CRM open in a tab on their browser at all times. That is a non-negotiable. Too much of what happens when we do CRM work for our clients is we'll set up the pipeline, and then it's crickets. They don't use it.
Yep.
They just don't update it.
If you ever want to know, well, what's my return on investment? There's no way of having that data unless the data in the CRM is being kept up to date and is accurate. That's the only way to close the loop on marketing.
Yeah, that means somebody needs to be moving deals on a regular basis from like call in to like call connected to like qualified, not qualified, proposal out, signed, etc. And then also updating the deal value, because when you update the deal value in your CRM, when you really want to talk about scaling marketing and being surgical with this and advertising, especially if you're in the injury accident space, this is probably a missing piece for you, is that you can feed that data back into the ad platforms, especially on Meta, where how do you know who's been in a car accident? You can't put that in as targeting, but when you're using a CRM and you're connecting that CRM back to the ad platform, the CRM will tell the ad platform at the customer level what your signed cases are, who those people are, with the value alongside of that, and then it will feed it back to these ad platforms. And these ad platforms, our cell phones got every single data point on us possible, right? So it will then build these customer profiles inside of Facebook and inside of Google for who these ads should be targeting. So like, I cannot stress enough how important an updated, well-maintained CRM is from a marketing point of view, but also from a business point of view. Like, you won't know what your cost per signed case is unless you have this. You're just going to be looking at front-end data. And again, I hear this all the time. Like, I got a phone calls last month, Ryan, but they all stink. They're all unqualified. I'm like, okay, can we look in your CRM and see how things are going? They're like, well, what's a CRM? Like, stop blaming marketing when you have holes in your business, right? Like, that's it. Okay. Last one here, Cesar. Let's talk about reporting. This one's very straightforward.
Yeah.
It's probably an open book too, however you want to.
So yeah, as far as the answer, because it's our favorite, I'm going to say what is Looker? Agency Analytics. I was going to say Agency Analytics. Looker is a free Google tool. Now, the reason why you want to have a dashboard is because you don't want to have to log into each one of these individual tools: analytics, Search Console, Google Business Profile, the call tracking, what converts, local service ads. You don't want to log into each of these tools to see how things are performing. So what a dashboard does is it aggregates all of the data from these tools, at least the pertinent information that you want to know. You don't want to have a dashboard that's 15 pages long. The whole idea of this is that you have basically a quick at-a-glance summary of how your website, how your marketing campaigns are performing. So we like to use Agency Analytics. It's very user-friendly. Looker it's free. However, it can be a little bit overwhelming and technical, but either one of those tools would do just fine.
You did good. You got every single one of them. You would think that we've actually built this together, but that's it. That's all we got for this. As always, if you're a lawyer or law firm that needs help with anything within the scope of marketing sales, but specifically analytics, tracking, data, reporting, all that type of stuff, there's a link below this video. You can book a call with us. You'll sit down with me directly. We'll talk about your firm. We'll talk about what you're doing. And we'll help you to get this up and running, because I can't really stress how important this is. I know this stuff isn't sexy. I know this isn't talking about the latest hack for generating cases and calls and its cost, but like, this is the foundation of your house. You can't start putting up the walls and the roof of the house with a bad foundation. It'll fall down, and that's what's happening. All of your roofs are collapsing on you nonstop, and you're pointing fingers and blaming people, when in reality, look in the mirror. This is what you need.
The reason we're doing this video is because it's a problem.
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
It seems something so simple and foundational. So if you don't quite have this completely down and buttoned up, don't feel bad. A lot of attorneys that we talk to on a daily basis don't, and that's what we do at the very beginning of the campaign is set all of this up and get it out of the way.
That's why we're here. Hit the link below, book a call. See you in the next video. Hey, Ryan here. Hope you liked that video. If you want more, check out these two videos right here on the screen.